Welcome everybody. This is Mary from Crafty Fun with Mary's Kazzaz. I'm glad you could do this tutorial. This is the tutorial for the pop-up slider card that we did on Sunday just gone. I can't remember the date. I think that is the 25th of October 2020. So we've made this card here, and it's a pop-up pull. Let me get that right for you. Pop-up card. So it pops up as it slides through, and it's just a normal top fold card. So you still have like your normal card base where you would write your message in here. It is popped up also on foam tape. So that's not focusing on very good there. I'm going to slightly do it a little bit different. I don't think I need to have a full continuous length of the foam tape here. So I'm going to just try spacing them out a little bit more. But, you know, it's preference for yourself. And then it just has this little pull-out tab that then says that on the bottom, and then as I've pulled this out, I've done that as well, and then the scene is in full when it's down. So that's what we're going to create today. Now, all the measurements will be on my Facebook page, Crafty Fun with Mary's Kazzaz, and it is in the event, the Zoom event. You'll find all the full measurements in there. So I won't be giving the measurements today. So you just need to pop over to my Facebook page and the measurements will be there. Now, I'm doing mine slightly different. I'm not doing it in a Christmas one this time. I'm going to do a little doggy theme. So where this red piece is here is going to be my fence. Santa is going to be my little doggy, which sort of takes up, you know, most of that space there, so I won't have like the trees. But in the background where these trees are, I'm going to stamp a little bone. And then when I pull this up here, I will have this little saying here that says, "Have a great day." And I'm not intending to put anything onto this space here. That will be where I'm going to write my message. So let's get going. You don't need any dies for this. So long as you've got a craft knife and a ruler, that's all you will need. And it's not an essential, it's not a hard card at all. So I've got my pull tab piece, my panel piece, and my card base. Now your card base is just like I said, it's a top folding card. So you fold that in half. And put that aside for now. You won't need that right now. I must change my blade. It's looking a little bit fuzzy there. So just put that aside. What we're going to work on first is the panel. So this is the top panel here, and this is where you'll need your craft knife. So if you're going to do a panel like what I've done, this is, you start off with a full piece, and then you just put whatever color over the top, and then that will create your little piece underneath. So for me, I just wanted to have a little bit of contrasting color with my Santa. So I just popped a piece of red cardstock over the top of my panel piece, and then I just cut that all together when I did the actual opening like that. Now I'm going, as I said, I'm going to put these little fence pieces along here, which I need to attach these first, create the scene, and then we cut out. So I'm just going to create this. I'm going to rub out my wording here. I don't need that. That was just for my benefit there. And I am just going to glue these on, and then they will be cut along in the panel when I cut them. But because you glue them all on, they're not going to come off because of that. So I'll just glue these on. I'm just using Glossy Accents. I love Glossy Accents. We have brought out a new one as well, which is the Distress Collage Medium Matte. It's also a glue. So, you know, you can use either for those. I just sort of tend to always go for my Glossy Accents. It's just habit probably more than anything else. And I'm just going to line up the edges and the side with the edges and the side of my cardstock. Now it will need, for me, it needs the second piece because of the width of the card. So the great thing about this stamp, and this is a stamp, and I've just cut out the individual bits. The great thing about this is it has these tabs which meet up. So either side is going to meet up with the other side, and then you can just cut off, you know, whatever's the excess on this side here. You could use that in the inside of your card for another project as well. I might even do that on this one here. Just use that little piece as a pen piece in the middle. So I've done that, and then any other stamping that you want to do, like create your background or extra wording or whatever, you need to do it at this point. Now, if you are doing wording, what you will need to remember is the width of this here. So the width of what we're going to cut out, we're going to end up with 1/2 inch borders, and this piece here I think is 3 1/4. So if you were putting wording on, it might be an idea to mark out where your actual panel is going to be. So, and remembering that this is going to pop up. So if you want to put it down the bottom, then it needs to stay within this piece here. If it's going up the top, it needs to stay within that piece and not go over the two. So they're the sort of things that you do need to keep an eye on. For me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use this little bone, and I'm just going to create like a background here. So it's not going to matter where I'm going to cut into it later. I want some of them to look like they're coming off the page, and some of them will pop up with the pop-up piece. So for me, it doesn't matter. And I'm just going to angle these, and I'm really just creating a background, really. Background of bones. Very cute, this set. This set also, this is the dog set. This also, you can get a set that's in cats if you're into cats rather than dogs, which I am, but I just don't happen to have them on hand. So that's all I'm going to do there. I just wanted to create a background so that when my piece comes up, you know, I'll have some on here. It'll have some will get cut down, but when it's flat, it will all look like it's layered together. So I've done that. Now I'm just going to mark out my 1/2 inch space. Now, how I found this to be the easiest to do is to use my craft mat as my guide, and just lay my ruler at the 1/2 inch mark at the top, and then use my 1/2 inch down the bottom. And I am just going to draw a line straight through, and I will cut all these out later. Now, because that's not a full inch on the other side, I'm just going to turn it around just for the ease of being able to use the markings on my mat. These mats are absolutely fabulous for this sort of stuff. The inside measurements of the mat is 12 by 12. So, you know, you always see that ruler. And then I'm doing the same. I need to mark out on all 4 sides the 1/2 inch mark. Now this one will be easier because I can keep it in the orientation now because it is at 5.5. So I just need to line up to the 5 inch mark on both top and bottom. And we'll rub the pencil marks out later as well. So now what I've got, I know that this is going to be the top hinge up here where it moves up and down there. And then I've drawn out this section here, which essentially I've just drawn the internal part of this. And then what is left is the frame. So with your craft knife and your ruler, you just need to cut these 3 out, the sides and the bottom, not the top. The top gets, you use your bone folder and make a crease in there, and then we will also then fold it in half. So the top is just a score line, and then we fold the piece in half to create this halfway line. So just like I said, use your craft knife, and make sure you only go down to the intersection. So you might not be able to see it there, but you just want to go to the intersection of the 1/2 inch line here. So we're just going to this point here, so that you always have a full 1/2 inch border intact. So I'm just going to line up my craft ruler, and you'll just need to be careful. And I might actually even do it the other way around, because it's easier to drag down than it is to drag up. And because I'm going through 2 layers here, this is where I'll need to have the most of my pressure. So you're just going from the intersection of the halfway, of the 1/2 inch mark. You may have to run your knife a couple of times over where you've got extra layers. But these Crafters Companion craft knives, oh, they are so sharp. They're so, and they're ergonomical to, you know, they're a triangle kind of perfect. I suffer a bit of arthritis in my hand, and these are so easy. It's sort of like a rubbery kind of feel. They're if you haven't got one, get one, because I tell you what, they are just a game changer when it comes to using craft knives. So again, I'll just need to probably do a couple little swipes over that. I'm just going up to the intersection at the top and no further. And these mats here are also, they're what they call self-healing mats. So you'll notice when I cut into that, you know, you might be able to see some marks. Well, you probably can't see any marks, but they just heal back over. They're a fabulous mat. All right, so I'm just doing the bottom, and again, the bottom, remembering we're not doing the top, that's going to be a score line. The bottom is 2 layers, so you do need to just, you know, run a couple of times, and you're just going from the intersection of the 1/2 inch bit at either side. So it's not all the way across. Just take your time with this bit. You don't want to overrun it, and you certainly don't want to cut yourself. Right, now if you haven't quite got it, you can just you know, it'll just be a tiny little bit in the corner that probably needs a little bit of attention. And you just, again, take your time, just cut all the layers. There we go, that's down. This is just a tiny little bit here I can see. Oops, it's on here. Just take your time, it'll come away. There we go. So that's what you end up with, a piece that's still attached. Still attached. This is going to be a fold line, and then we fold it in half. And so by adding whatever you're putting on the bottom first, it stays intact then when it moves up. So that's what you will see. So you can either do your score line here. I'm going to do mine via my cutter because I can do that, but you could just as easily use your ruler and your bone scorer to do that as well. I know that my mark is at a 1/2 inch, and on these trimmers here, these are our old Kazaz trimmers. Unfortunately, they're not available anymore. But this first mark here is 1/4 inch, and the second mark is 1/2 inch. So I'm just going to line up to the 1/2 inch because I know this was 1/2 inch, and I'm going to just find the groove and simply score it. Now, when it folds up, it folds into a valley, so it needs to flip out this from the front way, not the back way. And then you just crease that down. See how I mean by the doggy bones? Now, what you can do is now, when this piece is laying down, when it comes up, you can just judge whether you want to put like another one in here. I'll probably put another one in there, and I'll probably put another one there. I may even consider the top one as well. And it's not going to take away from your card, it's just adding into it. You're better off to be doing them after than doing them before and having too much on there. And it doesn't matter if they go off the page a little bit. I might even do this one off. There we go. And so that when that is sitting up, you will have more down along here. And this is where I'm going to fill in a little bit here. I'll just add the end of one and another end of one in here. It's just, I'm just creating that background is all I'm doing. Could even put one there. And it's just background filling. And I'll leave that now. Right, and then so this piece here, you simply just are going to fold it in half. So that's this piece in here now where we've got this fold line, we're going to fold this flap in half. And I found the easiest way was just to simply fold it up onto itself and fold it in half. It actually folds the other way. Oops, I need to clean my bone folder there. It actually folds out the other way, but it's just as easy. You can do that, doesn't really matter. And then fold it back on itself. And then we've got those, so when it folds up, it will come up like that. So that's essentially that flappy bit that we've done. The pull tab, you'll notice, is just slightly bigger than this piece here because the pull tab actually sits in behind it and is attached. We're going to create a little tab here in a minute, and it sits in here. Just let me get that out of the way in there. It sits on each other. You line up this flap to the bottom flap of the pull tab, and so when it's attached, it's what, when you pull this up, is what brings this whole thing up here. So my pull tab is attached to the bottom of this inside, and we need to make, obviously this isn't going to slide up and down, so we actually need to make our bottom here a little tab so that it can sit inside like you sit it in a track kind of thing. So this, I'll just rub off my pull tab. If you were doing any kind of stamping on here, then you would need to do that first. So this would be the time to do that. Any stamping on this card here, I'm not going to do that. I did it on this one here. I just hand wrote pull. You can get stamps with them on. I don't have them, and that just sits there so that your recipient knows to pull that. And then again, if you're going to put any kind of stamping, now's the time to do that. And you need to be able to know where this piece sits within your card so that you can line up where you're going to do your stamping. So we're sort of going to be, I'm just going to draw down so I know that that's the far edge that I can go to. We're also going to, on the bottom here, you probably can't see it really well in there, but it has a little tab here, which is 1/2 inch, and that's what it attaches onto there. So we're going to do that little 1/2 inch tab now so that we can, we know where our bottom of the card, so we know where the sides is, but we need to know where that bottom of the card is. And it's a 1/2 inch tab. So again, I'm going to line up to that 1/2 inch mark on my trimmer. I'm going to just do it all the way across, and I know that that's now my 1/2 inch. Give that a good crease down. And what you've got, when I drew this piece, I just did it sort of, I eyeballed it. You could go to the trouble of you know, measuring it. This piece here is 3 1/4 and this bottom piece is 3 1/2. So you end up with 1/8 of an inch on either side, where you've got an edge. And what we're going to do is create the piece, the little tabs that sit in underneath this frame that keeps it all together. So when you pull it, it doesn't come out, like it's not, I can't pull that out. It's actually sitting in there with a little tab. So that's what we're creating now. So we've done our 1/2 inch piece, and that's going to sit, what sits in and attaches to here. But we're going to create the little tab pieces, and we're just simply going to cut out these pieces here on the side. So where that edge came down, we're going to cut up to the score line and out. So we're just going to cut that off. And that's what we end up with. So we've created a tab, and that tab now is the same size as our piece here. Now, I did find, and it just depends on how well and accurate you make your cuts to start with, you'll see, and when you draw lines too, it's on the outside of the line is what, so see how it just is, I've got to just snip off another little bit, and it's just purely from where you draw your lines, the thickness of that. So I'm just going to cut a little bit more off, but I'm going to sort of do it on each side to try and keep that a little bit even, because you want this tab piece to sit centrally. And it didn't need to be a lot, just a little bit off each side. And just keep measuring back up to your flap, and that will tell you whether you've got the right size. So that's now basically the right size. I might just do a little bit of a touch up here. Doing a tiny little piece. Just move that up, right, so that now should be the same size as the bottom of my flap, because that's what's going to attach together. See on that side there. So see that there now, that, whoops, that is the same size as my flap. So this bottom piece of this one is going to sit, you're going to have your flap in that way, and it's going to sit on here like that. And then these pieces that overhang is what keeps the pull, this pull tab in place. So I just added double-sided tape to mine. You could glue yours, it doesn't really matter. Whilst has, you know, whilst that piece is a bit of a moving piece, it doesn't have any weight on it, so double-sided tape is fine for those sort of things. It's really only where you've got a lot of pressure on something that you might want to glue that, but that's a personal choice. So now we need to make sure though that this piece, don't just go and put that on, because then you've got to try and feed this through the opening. You're far better off to feed that over your opening now and then join that piece on. So come in from behind it. And you just got to measure, you've just got to make sure that they are lining up. You don't want them to overhang. Right. So now we've created the pull tab, and I've used the wrong size. I did this last time too. My apologies. I cut, yes. This should have been 5 3/4, and I have fixed that up on my Facebook page. This pull tab piece obviously needs to be a little bit bigger than your actual card front, so you've got something to hang on to. So we'll just pretend that this piece is sitting out here like that, and you would have that on there. So it should be 1/4 inch bigger than the width of this, and I have fixed those measurements up in the side. But this will show you anyway. It's not going to matter for this demonstration. So you can see now this is attached, and when I pull my pull tab, and when it's all together, it will be even better. It won't come out of its track. So see how that moves, and you can't pull it out of its track because that's what's running on the little extra bit that we left on there. So this is then where we need to attach our double-sided foam tape onto the sides, not on the top, but up the sides and across the bottom. And you don't want it interfering with this piece here. Now, one thing I didn't do, and I said if you're going to do any stamping, well, now would be the time. Actually, it's not on this piece. It's on the base piece. When this, so this will all fit here on the base. It's the same side as your base. When you pull that up, so when I pull up this one here, and you can see that wording there, it's actually sitting on the actual base card itself, on the front of that base card. So if you're to put that wording in there now, you need to do it before you attach it all together. And the best way again to do this is, so you want to be able to line up what space you've got to be able to do that stamping in. So again, I just tend to draw out my space, and you can rub these lines out so you know where that's going to sit. So depending on whether you want them to pull it right up or halfway down, that's going to determine where you want that stamping to sit. So I'm sort of going to go, I've got like 5.5 inches. I'm sort of going to go so that this sort of sits at just above 2 inches up, and I'll place my stamp in here. So I'm going to put it in like there, and I'm just loosely placing that because then I'm going to move that away, and then I'm going to just pick that up with my block. Now I do probably need to measure that tape, so I want it like that. I'm just going to draw a line sort of across here to give me that rough. So now what I've got is my stamping area. So I'm just going to line my stamp back up on its block, and I just line up the edges of the stamp, of the wording, not the stamp, the edges of the wording along a line, and then you know it's nice and straight. Line your card up to the edge of there, and then you know that your stamp is sitting on your block straight, and then you just simply use the edges of your block along any edge that you might have to view it. And you don't have to have it, we're not meant to be making perfect cards. We're meant to be making, and I've just hit that on the edge, we're meant to be making handmade cards. So, you know, things like that where you have that little bit of a overstamp, you know, it's handmade. I don't worry about things like that. I always say if it was meant to be perfect, my name would be Hallmark. And it's not. It's handmade. It's made with love to give the recipient some joy. Don't worry about little things like that. Life's too short. All right. So now we put on our tape. So when I pull this up, and because I'm running on a shorter piece, when I pull that up, there's my have a great day. And I'm going to actually put some little bones along in there as well. And that sort of fills a little bit of that white space up as well. And this doesn't matter if you go, if it ends up being outside your stamping area, because you won't see it. And I'm going to have another look what that looks like. So I could probably put another one down there. So I could fill the whole thing up, like I could go up a little bit higher. So if they do pull it up higher, you see bones sort of all the way up. I want to be not all the way because I do want to leave area there to be able to write on, although I'm writing on up here. So I could literally keep going up there actually. And that just carries the theme in, just creating a background, and it's just carrying the theme. Oops, there's a partial stamp. So when I put that back down on here, doesn't matter how far someone goes up, you will still see that. And then that kind of mimics what's on the front as well. So it's just creating a background really. All right, so that's what that will look like. Again, I'm just filling in the spaces. And you can play around with that, you know, sky's the limit. It's only limited by your imagination. There we go. So then when that comes all the way up, that's what they see. And then I've got my have a great day in amongst all that. You could, if you wanted to, if you want to add some colour into that, you could, you know, colour a bone in. When I did this here, I used a purple colour. So, you know, you could add that into it. I'm going to leave this as black and white. So now we'll add the foam tape. If you've got, you know, long strips, you could easily put those in long strips. Like I said, this one here, I did it in full. This one here I'm going to experiment with and just see whether that will just get away with it not having it all the way through. You do need to put it up to the edge because these little ones are from Crafter's Companion, and I know that they're going to fit up along there. You don't want it interfering with your tab. You don't need them along the top, just along the bottom and up the sides. So I'll speed up this section for you so you don't have to watch me putting these on and taking them off. I'm sure you all know how to do that. So I will just speed this bit up. Right, so now all that's left is to put it on and do the front portion of it. At this point, oh, I didn't rub out those lines. Make sure you rub out your pencil lines too before you, I probably should have done that before I went and put all that foam tape on. That would have made that a lot easier to do, but anyway. Yeah. And then you can decorate the front piece after you've put it all on. So hopefully, because this mat is like a rubbery thing, it's not going to be the end of the world. It just would have been easier had I done that prior to doing this bit here. Right, and then this just lines up. Make sure your card is up the right way. So we've all been there, done that, and put it on the wrong way. So this is the same size as the bottom of your card. Press that down. Now, as I said, I haven't put it all the way through, and I actually don't think it's going to matter. There we go. And of course, your pull tab is going to be sitting out a little bit further than that. And then we can just add our pieces. So whatever you add, remembering you cannot stick it down to the front piece. You've got to be able to have it loose so that otherwise the mechanism won't work. So my piece is this piece here. Now I will probably keep this piece up, or I will just keep it. I'll probably have to, otherwise I have to sit my doggy on the fence. Probably didn't think about that enough. Probably would have liked it to be just a little bit stuck on there so it's a bit more stable, and I might just actually sit my dog down a bit in that there so that I can just touch the bottom of that. Wherever you put this, remember though, This can't sit out any further than the edge of your card, so you do need to keep that in mind as well. I'm just going to put that down just slightly. There we go. It doesn't matter if his tail goes over. If you don't stick it down, then it won't matter. So I can just slightly move this all across. There we go. That's actually a little better. And then I can just put that down there. So I'm just going to apply a little bit of glue to the bottom of my little word bubble here. And then I just want it on his bottom here, because I don't want it on the tail, because I don't want the tail to stick. I only apply glue onto this bottom section, otherwise the mechanism will not work. There we go. Perfect. He sits just up above the little fence. I've just glued it enough in here so that it has attached, otherwise, you know, that would break here. And then as I pull up, none of it is interfering. Now I have noticed when I do need to just attach my little fence palings down where I've cut them for there, and then that is my have a great day there. So I'll just finish putting that on here. A little bit of glue just to make sure that sits down and doesn't come off. A little bit on there as well. And that essentially is the card. It's not a hard card at all. Not a hard card. Has, you know, you can decorate it whichever way. Your recipient, and like I said, I'm going to write something in here, but you could, like what I did on my other card, actually have another saying or greeting there. In fact, because you've created a normal card, I guess you don't even need to put anything there. In fact, I probably won't. If there were other little, you know, sentiments you would want to put on there, you absolutely could put them up there as well. But that's the pop-up slider card, and decorating is, you know, limitless. It's whatever you want to decorate. And like I said, mine's a little bit hard to use at the moment because I didn't make my pull tab big enough. But I will certainly, the instructions and the sizes are correct on my Facebook page. So if you jump onto Crafty Fun with Mary's Gazaz on Facebook, you will find my page there, and just jump into the events, into the Zoom event, and in the comments of the Zoom event is all the measurements for this card. I hope you enjoyed that. If you do make this card, give me a thumbs up. By all means, put a photo onto my Facebook page and let me know what you thought of the card. And I hope you make many more of them. Thanks for watching. Bye.